Good morning all. Welcome back to our course on the C programming language. In this session, I am going to deal with the second part of the file handling in C, where I will be discussing only two important topics. Very simple and easy to understand topics. The first topic is steps to deal with files. And the second topic is basic file operations. And within this basic file operations, I will be discussing the file functions. So the list of file functions is very important. We will be discussing those file functions in the coming sessions. But right now, I just want to discuss about the steps that are required to deal with the files in C. And the second one is the basic file operations and the file functions. I'll just give a list of file functions that we use in the C programming language to deal with these files. Coming to the first part, the steps that are required in processing a file or to deal with the file is it requires only four basic steps. The first step, we are going to create a stream. This is what I have discussed in the earlier session. A stream is nothing but a mechanism that connects a physical file with the standard input or output device. So as a first step in processing a file, you always have to create a stream. And how we are going to create a stream means we are going to create a stream using a pointer variable. And this pointer variable should be of type file. So when you want to deal with the files, you need to create a stream. When you want to create a stream, you need to create a pointer. What type of pointer you need to create means you need to create a file pointer. So when you create a file pointer, the compiler will automatically take care of creating the stream. That means it will take care of creating a stream, as well as it will link the physical file which is present in the secondary storage with the standard input or output. How we are going to create a pointer to a file is nothing but it's a normal procedure of how we create a pointers. For example, if I want to create a integer pointer, we have seen the syntax of creating a pointer in the last sessions that it should have a data type followed by the asterisk symbol and then the identifier or the pointer variable, whatever it may be. The same syntax we have to follow here also. So the data type for creating a file pointer is nothing but file, and since I am going to create a pointer, I make use of the asterisk symbol, and the last one is the identifier. Identifier is nothing but the variable name where you need to follow all the rules for the identifiers. So you can give FP, or you can give out, or you can give in, any name with just following the rules for an identifier in the C programming language is valid. So in this example, I have taken the file pointer name as P. So this P is very important, and this is the, we can say that this is the heart of the file operations. Any operation you want to perform on the file, you are going to make use of this particular file pointer. Any operation, you want to read it to the file, you want to read an integer, or you want to put an integer, or you want to deal with the character strings, any operation you want to perform on the files, you have to go with this file pointer only. So that is the importance of this file pointer. So you are creating a file pointer, in the sense you are creating a stream. That is the reason why creation of stream is nothing but creation of a file pointer. Just create a file pointer with this simple statement, and the rest will be taken care by the compiler. And after creating a stream, then you have to process the things, right? That means processing is nothing but you want to read the contents from the file, or you want to write the contents onto the file. All these things are nothing but the processing, right? Before that, before doing any reading or writing operation, another important step, that is step 2, is first of all you have to open that file. Without opening the file, you cannot do any manipulation on the file. So the second step for the processing of files is nothing but you need to open the file. We have some functions to open the file. We have some predefined functions to open the file, and we have some syntax to deal with those functions that we are going to discuss in the coming sessions. But right now you just remember that once you create the stream for the files, you can make use of those file streams or the pointer variables to open the file. You need to open the file and you need to process the data. Without opening, nothing can be done on the files. So you need to open the file, associating the stream name with the file name. I'll tell you how it can be done. And the third step is the remaining operations. You can read the contents from the file, or you can write the contents onto the file. Any operation you can perform here. And the last one is closing the file. So remember, similar to that of dynamic memory allocation functions, where the programmer has to take care of everything, right? Like the allocation and deallocation will be taken care by the programmer itself. So he need to allocate the memory by manually by using the malloc, calloc functions, and the programmer has to do the deallocation by using the free function. In a similar fashion, when you are dealing with files, as a second step you need to open the file, and as the final step you need to close that file. Opening and closing should be done by the programmer only. So what happens if you don't close the file means nothing wrong will happen, but it is a good practice to close the files. But sometimes it is mandatory. The reason is when we come across that particular session, I will be discussing why we need to close the stream, or why we need to close the file pointers. All these things I will discuss, right? But even if you don't close the file, if you exit from the program, the file will be pointer will be automatically removed. That's a different case. But when you want to deal with the same file in the same program in different modes, then we need to close it mandatorily. So these are the 4 steps that we need to deal with the processing of files. Simple thing, the first one is creating a stream, that is nothing but creating a file pointer. Second one is opening a file. Third step is reading and writing to a file, and the fourth step is closing the file. Very simple. Any file operation you want to do, you can do it by these 4 steps. And coming to the second topic, so the basic file operations. The basic file operations that we can perform on any file is we have discussed right now, right? So you can create a file, you can open a file, you can read the contents from the file, you can write the contents into the file, and you can close the file. So these are the basic operations what we have discussed in the earlier slide. But to deal with these basic file operations, one need to have some predefined functions. So any operation you perform in the C programming language, you are going to do it using the functions concept. Similarly, when you are going to deal with the files, or when you are going to do some basic operations of files, you need to have some functions. Fortunately, whatever we have, we have some predefined functions that are given by the authors itself to deal with these files, or to deal with the basic operations of these files. Let me list out some of the very few file operations which are basic file functions. We can say that file handling functions. So very important concept, file handling functions. First of all, you should know what are the list of functions you have. The first function what we have is fopen. We will discuss these syntaxes and everything later, but remember that there exists a function called fopen to open a file. It's a predefined function defined inside stdio.h. All these functions are predefined functions only, which are defined inside this stdio.h header file. So fopen is to open a file, and while you open the file, you should specify in what mode you are opening, or for what purpose you are opening the file. You are opening the file for the reading purpose, or you are opening the file for the writing purpose. That should be specified inside this fopen function. And then we have another function which is called as fclose, which is used to close the opened file, and fread, read from a file, fwrite, write from a file, and these two functions deal with the binary files. And we have fseek, which is used to move a file pointer to some place which is specified by the user. The user can specify to which point you can move the cursor, or you can move the pointer. You should not say it cursor, you should say it as pointer. So to move the pointer to the desired location, we use the fseek function in files. Similarly, the last function is ftell. Of course, this is not the last function. We have so many functions to discuss. So ftell is a function that deals with telling of the actual position of the file pointer, where the file pointer is located. That will be identified by this ftell. We will see everything in syntax format also. Other than this, we are not going to deal with this fread and fwrite, and we are not going to deal with how we are going to do with the binary files. We are always targeted towards this .txt files only. We need to deal with txt files, what are the functions we have, all these things we will see. So we are not going to discuss about fread and fwrite. But fopen, fclose, important things to discuss, fseek and ftell, very important things to discuss. And other than this, reading and writing operations. Reading and writing into the files can be done by so many functions. They are supported by so many functions like fprintf, fscanf. This is to deal with multi-valued functions, and fgetw and fputw. This is to deal with integers. Similarly, there exists another functions like fputc and fgetc. These functions are used to deal with characters. See the last one, w is for integers, c is for characters, and similarly we can deal with these files for the entire line, which is called as string, that is fputs and fgets. These deal with the strings concept. And this fprintf and fscanf, they are going to deal with different values, multiple values, which are of different things. we'll see everything, right? So fopen and fclose, they are used to deal with opening and closing respectively, and then reading and writing can be done by using fprintf, fscanf, fputw, fgetw, fgetc, fputc, and fgetS and fputS. Other than this, we have fread and fwrite, which are out of our scope. And other than this, we are going to discuss about some more functions which are fseek, which is used to move the pointer to some location, desired location, and ftell to tell where the pointer is actually located. And we have rewind also, another very simple function, rewind, which is going to bring the pointer to the starting point. And we have some other function like feof, file end of file identification. So these are the various list of functions we have with these files. So that's all for today's session. Before wrapping up, let me tell you what we have discussed. Let me quickly recap what we have discussed. In today's session, we have started our discussion with the steps to deal with files. Only 4 steps. Step one is creating a stream, which is nothing but creating a file pointer. Step 2 is opening the file. Step 3 is either you can perform the read or write operations, and step 4 is closing the file. Only 4 steps to deal with any type of program in C for the files. And then we have gone through these basic file operations where you are going to create a file, open a file, read from a file, write to a file, and finally close the file. These are the basic operations. And to handle these basic operations, we have so many list of functions, predefined functions that are supported by the C programming language. Important things are fopen to open the file, fclose to close the file, and for reading and writing the data, we have fprintf, fscanf for multiple values, fgetw and fputw to deal with integers, fgetc and fputc to deal with characters, fgetS and fputS to deal with strings. Other than this, to deal with the pointers, movement of pointers, we have fseek, where we can move the pointer to our desired location in the file. ftell tells the exact location of the file pointer. Rewind moves the file pointer to the starting location. feof to deal with the end of file pointer. So that's all for today's session. Thank you one and all for joining the session.